Hello, friends. We are getting ready to start work on your first anchor project. You're going to see that this video is posted probably in two places. I probably have it with week one. That way you have an introduction to the project. So if you're watching this because you're in week one, this is not due until week three, and we're going to be doing it a couple steps at a time. But I like you to know about things early so you have time to get ready. If you're in week three and you're watching this, it's time to do it. So either way, you should be good to go. This is just a quick kind of deep dive into what it is that I'm looking for from you. So I've designed all of our major projects for the year to try to really be things that you would actually need for teaching, which I know sounds really obvious, right? Like, why would I not give you something that you need for teaching? But like, I don't know, even I'm in classes now, right? Like I'm working on my doctoral degree, and every now and then I have to do something that I'm like, what is the purpose of this? So hopefully I have made a class or I've made these assignments in such a way that you're not asking yourself, what the heck is this for? Because if nothing else, I start out every single one of these projects by explaining to you what the purpose of the project is for. Sorry, I haven't used Canva and Google Meets at the same time, so we're learning something new here. So our goal is for you to really demonstrate your plan for creating an equitable, inclusive workspace, okay? And I'm going to be honest, I have everything phrased as a classroom because this is an education class and I am a teacher and, this is diversity of schools and society. But I do want to clarify to you, feel free to modify any of this to where it works for whatever your future career is going to be, right? So if you're planning on going for a job in healthcare and you're taking this class because you need a multicultural requirement, that's fine. Like, tell me what you want your future healthcare practice to look like, right? Or if you want to be a social worker or a counselor, you can tell me what you want your future office and, area where you do that kind of work at. Like, it's all good, right? Like, I would love if you were able to make this actually specific for you. For those of you who are going to be teachers, no stress, man. Everything's designed for you guys, so you're in good shape. I was just trying to, if you're not on that pathway, I still would like this to be relatively useful for you, as much as can be at least. Alrighty. So overall, the assignment's designed to get you thinking about your future classrooms, office spaces, whatever. So whenever we're talking about this project is called your classroom audit. Your workspace audit, call it whatever you want if you're not technically on the teacher pathway. An audit is official inspection of your own practices, right? Like when businesses go through audits, it's whenever somebody comes in and they look at every single financial decision that's been made to make sure that everything was done with purpose and with sound mind and things like that. So a classroom audit in this scenario would be you kind of looking at your own future workplace practices, which I know you're not in the classroom or the workplace yet, but kind of looking at your own mentality on this. That way you can plan for a future where you will be nice and inclusive in your future careers. So that's our purpose. Let's break it down. So this is not going to be due until the end of week 3, unless you're watching this and it is week 3, in which case it's due at the end of this week. But hopefully you have had 3 weeks to work on this. And if not, don't worry, you can still get it done in a week. So part of this relates to our stuff from week 1, which was that historical look at inequity in schools. And part of it relates to the week 2 unit, which was looking at the Individuals with Disability Education Act and educating people with multiple levels of ability. So this assignment is going to consist of you analyzing 4 practices that you can implement to ensure everyone feels welcome and receives what they need from you in your future career. So the very first section that you're going to be writing, you're looking at like a half-page double-spaced, nothing too complicated. Please double-space everything, even if I don't type that in, because for the love of all things holy, my eyeballs suck. Size 12 font's fine. I just zoom in if I'm struggling. But I do need the double spacing. Otherwise, I literally can't read it. So in this section, you're going to describe the context you want to work in. So it can include like grade level or particular subjects. So like if you're elementary school, you'd put like, this is for 3rd grade. Or if you're, an English teacher, you would put this is for 10th grade English. It can include the type of school you're wanting to work at. Are you wanting to work at a large school, a small school, an urban school, a rural school? And for those of you who are not planning on going to education, tailor this to be relevant to what you want to do with your life. Totally fine. It can be aspirational. If it's your life dream to go work at the richest school section in Chicago, by all means, put that down. If it's your life dream to go back to your hometown and work, put that down. Or you can just pick a place, either one's fine. I just kind of want to know generally what you're imagining whenever you're thinking about where you're going to be working at. So practice number 1 is going to be addressing historical inequities. So what I want you to do in this section is I want you to identify one specific practice. And when I say practice, I'm not talking about like play practice or basketball practice, right? I'm talking about what is something you can do within your job that would address some of the issues that we see with historical inequities in education. Might have to stretch it a little if you're not working in education. but it is an education class, guys. I'm sorry. So if you're not an educator, this isn't as useful for you. You're going to cite at least 2 sources in this. One is going to be the documentary Teach Us All. One is going to be one article of your choice. And what I want you to do is basically look at what can you do to make sure that groups who have traditionally been marginalized are not marginalized whenever you are in charge of your future workspace. So look particularly like at personal blind spots you might have or assumptions you might need to challenge and what this practice would specifically do for particular issues that you might have, right? So for example, if I know that I don't necessarily have a ton of experience, like for example, despite the fact that I've been teaching for 15 years, I have never worked with a fully deaf student. Okay. And I know next to no sign language. I know a smidge from my sister, but not enough to get by. Right. So I would want to consider, okay, what are some practices for, that I could use to potentially help someone like that? Which really is more on the practice 2 section where we talk about different abilities, but that's kind of the gist of what we're looking for, right? So in this scenario, we're looking for what are groups that have been left out of education traditionally? How do we make sure that they are not left out in our future work? Practice number 2 is going to be supporting differently abled students. And the deaf example I just gave would be infinitely better here, but it's been a very long day and I'm sorry for that. So you're going to look for one specific accommodation strategy that you would use proactively and not just whenever you were legally forced to for IEP compliance. You're going to cite research on this accommodation type, at least one source, and explain how this practice goes beyond the bare minimum of just complying with an IEP. And if you're looking for ways to support differently abled students and you're trying to figure out what do I do to kind of start looking for that, one thing I would highly recommend is going to Google and searching Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. It's a great list of practices that you could start from. Practices number 3 and 4 are going to be up to you. So you're going to identify 2 additional things that you're going to do in your career that reflect your commitment to equity, and these can address any aspect of diversity. Each one does need to be cited and connected to areas where you feel you can grow at making sure everyone feels included. So I don't want you to just say something generic and random like, I will have the Braille alphabet hanging on a poster. Okay, why? What purpose does it serve, right? And if you want to find research that backs that up. So make sure that whatever it is you were doing, you cite a source with it, right? If you go and search Universal Design for Learning, there's plenty of sources that you can cite on how this is beneficial for all students. That's all you're looking for there, okay? And then the last section will be about a half a page again, double spaced, of course, like everything is. And this is a self-reflection section, right? What, if anything, makes you uncomfortable about implementing these practices, or what might be uncomfortable about it? Why is that discomfort worth pushing through? Okay. A lot of times, especially sometimes in the area we are in, making a commitment to equity can be challenging, right? And sometimes like for example, right? Let's be real, as a white woman, sometimes it's really difficult for me to be like, oh my gosh, do I want to make sure, I don't want to be offensive whenever I say something, right? But I've never lived that experience of anything other than being a white woman. So I don't want to inadvertently say something wrong, right? So that's kind of what you're looking at here. Like what is uncomfortable about potentially, making these forward approaches to equity? Why is it worth pushing through? It's only half a page. It won't take you long at all. All right. So overall, whenever I'm looking for things that I'm grading for, be specific. Okay. So for example, don't just say, I'll use flexible seating in my classroom. Okay, why? Or what, right? Are they sitting at tables? Are they sitting on the floor? Where are you going with this? So for example, if you wanted to cite research that shows that wobble seats benefit students with ADHD, that's both specific and citing a source. Integrate your citations in with it. Remember, we talked a little bit about point evidence and analysis. That's in the week 1 lecture, if you're trying to remember where that's at. So don't just cite a source, give your analysis of it. You can use either MLA or APA format. Ironically, I teach both education and English and speech, and I use APA in speech and education, and I use MLA in English. So I'm confident with any of those. In fact, if you're a crazy history person and you want to use Chicago manual style, I'm somewhat familiar with it too. But whichever one you use, make sure you do it correctly, because you need that extra practice as you head off into university. If you need help with formatting, don't hesitate to reach out. Make your personal reflection genuine. Like I said, acknowledging our biases is uncomfortable. That's okay. It's how we grow. And for the love of all things holy, do not go to ChatGPT and write a 1/2 page reflection about what's uncomfortable about implementing culturally responsive practices. Don't do it. Don't do it. I want to know what you think. Okay. So don't push me on it, for real. Okay. This is designed to help you think about how you are going to be responsive to the needs of other people. Don't outsource that thinking to an AI. It doesn't know how to help people like that capacity yet. As always, if you have questions, this is my email address. It's laurah@shawneecc.edu. I also have a Vina High School email, so if you have that contact for me, go for it. My phone number is on the syllabus if you need to text me. I am happy to answer your questions, friends. I wish we had this class in person, and I wish I got to teach you physically in person, but I don't. So hearing from you is about the only way I feel like we actually get to have interaction. So reach out to me. Happy to hear from you. You should hear back from me if you email me within 24 hours, unless it's like a weekend or a holiday. I do have two very small children at home, so I'm not very responsible on the weekends, and I'm sorry for that. But if you don't hear back within me within 24 hours and like a normal business day has passed, send me an email again, because sometimes things get lost in the shuffle, and I don't want you to get lost in the shuffle because I want to be here for you. So on that note, I'm going to let you either consider what you're going to be doing for the next 2 weeks, or alternatively, I'm going to let you be on week 3 and get this done. If you've got questions, reach out to me. And don't overstress about this too much, guys. I do have a policy for like major projects in my class that if you don't like a grade you got, you can take the feedback and revise. It's the English teacher in me. So anywho, I'm looking forward to seeing your projects and looking forward to see how you all plan on addressing inequities in your future workplaces. Thank you, and hope to hear from you soon.